Greetings, adventurers, and well met. Master of Dungeons here on the Master of Dungeons Twitch channel, twitch.tv/the Master of Dungeons. It is Tuesday, time for some Dungeons and Deliberations. Kind of just an Ask the DM format. If you have any questions about D&D, whether it be DMing, anything about the game, we're always looking to help new players as well and pass on our 40 years of experience as a Dungeon Master to others so they can enjoy the world's greatest role-playing game. We've been working on Tuesday evenings. Last week we worked a little bit about, I had a question from a viewer about creating a fighter that is focused on protecting their group. So we did that last week. A week before we had worked on some of the Pantheon, kind of breaking it down into a fairly simple list for a homebrew game that I am planning on starting up sometime in September. We're looking for that. I did just finish up a epic adventure for Gen Con for the organized play for Wizards of the Coast, Dungeons and Dragons Adventures League, and we've got a couple more of those adventures to get out to some of our authors, and then I will be able to start concentrating on getting that live play game that we're going to do on Thursday evenings up and running. So what we're going to work on a little bit tonight, as I mentioned, we had worked on getting the list of DDs down to just a few out of our many that we had and some of our older stuff. But tonight we're actually going to work on something fun for the lower level characters, because obviously everyone's going to start at first level. We're going to play through the grind of getting through tier 1, which I actually find a lot of fun. We'll probably play on this map here in my campaign world. We might play on a different campaign world map or different map as well. I'm working on them all the time using Campaign Cartographer 3+ is where this is. I use a lot of the Mike Schley. Use a lot of his assets that he has available for Campaign Cartographer, so I can do my best to try to get the maps look as close as possible to them. But tonight we're going to work on a few spells, and basically what we're going to do for these spells is, actually I forgot they changed the handout there. What we're going to do for these spells is we're just basically going to take some of the current spells, as I mentioned, but I think in one of our Tavern Talk streams about how easy it is to create things homebrew for 5th edition that can already come out balanced already for you. So this is actually a spell that we're going to look up here that I actually created for a friend streamer that streams D&D on Sunday evenings. You might have rated into her channel. They play Out of the Abyss on Sunday evenings, and I created a spell for one of her players, fairly quick and easy, and we're going to go ahead and recreate that here in this room. I do a lot of my creating of stuff of homebrew things and the like here in Roll20. Most of it's just easy to copy and paste back into a document later on to put on my external hard drive, but I do it here because I can have all of the books for Roll20. I myself have a few books on D&D Beyond, but most of my stuff goes to Roll20 since it's the VTT that I use for all of my client games for my virtual D&D weekends and such like that, and for our streams also. So we created a variant. The character that we created the spell for loved lightning, and they used a lot of lightning. So what we did was we took the green flame blade cantrip, and we simply, is it one word, green flame? There we go, green flame blade. We're going to take it from the Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, which is the most recent version. And what we're going to do is just going to simply adjust it, fairly simple and easy, into what we call Arc Blade, which is going to, instead of doing fire damage, it's going to do a very similar thing to what the green flame blade does. We're going to call it Arc Blade. We'll worry about the formatting here in a little bit. We're on cantrip, evocation, casting time, one action, range, Purple material. A melee weapon worth at least 1 silver piece. And something else we're going to work on too also that we can also do is you could alter some of these spells. Obviously with the new 1D&D you're going to have Arcane, Divine, and Primal. We obviously would put these into different things when that comes around. We can also adjust and maybe make an extra couple of cantrips that might be available to other classes or something. Let's put this there. So we just we'll just copy and paste this spell here. And then what we'll do is we'll come through and we'll remove all of the font style. So it is just a normal font style. We're going to go ahead and put this up to a header 4. Cantrip evocation. Just do a little bit of formatting. Oops, we forgot our E there for range. What we can also do is I'm going to show you what I end up doing a lot of times when I create handouts, especially for Homebrew. I do it also when I'm putting together rooms for Roll20. If an adventure comes out that I have to run, let's say for a client game or for virtual D&D weekend, and there's not, like it's not a hardcover or it's not an adventure that already has with Roll20 and the one bookshelf, the Dungeon Masters Guild kind of linking up, you're starting to see a lot of people put their adventures into a Roll20 format, which is nice, or they also do Fantasy Grounds on there as well. But a lot of adventures, they come out, they don't have any setup, so I'll go through and put them into a Roll20 room myself. A lot of copying, pasting from a PDF. You can, as I mentioned before, create a PDF in your journal just by adding a PDF and then dragging that PDF into that. But if I find it much easier to create the adventure with all these different things to where you can open up each section and not have to open the PDF and scroll through it all the time. All right, so we have Arc Blade, same basic things as a green flame blade, but we say instead, and you cause blue static to leap from the target to a different creature of your choice that you can see within 5 feet. Second creature takes lightning damage equal to your spellcasting ability modifier. The spell's damage increases when you reach certain levels. At 5th level, melee attack deals an extra D8 lightning damage to the target on a hit, and the lightning damage the second creature increases to a 1d8 plus your spellcasting ability modifier. Both damage rolls increase by 1d8 at 11th level and at 17th level. And bam, just like that, we are complete with a fairly easy, brand new cantrip that we can use in our homebrew game. So then what we're going to do is how I seed spells and such like that. Like I have, for example, is a thing here. I can always just go through and put the Arc Blade down at the spells list here, which is fine. But what I'll end up doing is I'll create, once I'm done putting these spells in here and all of this, I'll create actually a handout that'll have a little bit of description about the spells in my campaign world, and then there'll be a list of spells by class and such like that, and I'll just have a link, and they'll click on that link and that'll bring up this handout here. We will have to eventually change it to where we'll show it to the players. They'll be able to see it, but they won't be able to edit it, which is fine. Um, so we're going to do Arc Blade there. Let's go ahead, and I also have a spell that I'm going to be coming out with after, as I mentioned, I'll be finished up with these Dreams of the Red Wizards adventures fairly soon. We'll have 4 left, and I'm going to be putting some extra work into one of my supplements that I want to get out before the end of the year, hopefully, which is our Draconic classes to go along with Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, different classes that have draconic traits, subclasses for draconic traits. But this is going to be, we can look up the spell here that we're going to be kind of mimicking, which is Chill Touch. This spell is actually going to be in, this spell is going to be in the supplement that I'm going to put out. So basically what happens is Chill Touch has to do with necrotic damage and has to do with undead. We're going to kind of keep the same thing with necrotic damage, but we're going to change it around a little bit because we're going to call this Fiendish Touch. I believe that was the name I put in there. No, actually, let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. We're going to alter it just a little bit more. We're going to call this the Touch of the Heavens. And so we're going to come down here because this is going to affect fiends, specifically for like wizards that might be like a demonologist or something like that. So they have some sort of spell to go against the fiends and such like that. We can also expand the spell by adding it to a different class as well. So we're going to say cantrip. We could leave it necromancy, and as I mentioned many a times before, a lot of healing magics back in the day used to be in the necromancy category. But let's check something out here that is very similar, which would probably be transmutation or evocation. Yeah, let's just go evocation. Much easier that way. And then we'll come back. Casting time still 1 action. Oops. Range 20 feet. That's a very odd way to word that instead of just one creature within range. It's actually against the space of the creature. Verbal and somatic. For those that might be new to Dungeons & Dragons, somatic components to a spell. Spells usually have up to 3 different types of components that the caster needs to cast a spell. Verbal component, like the magic words, abracadabra. Material components, like the eye of a newt or bat guano or something like that. And then they have what's called somatic components, which are hand gestures that the wizard or sorcerer or warlock or whatever makes that to kind of like combine the magic. So that's what the somatic components are for. From duration 1 round. We're gonna have sorcerer, warlock, wizard. We're gonna also open it up to cleric, just because it's something cool for the clerics to have. There's not really any attack spells for cantrips, I should say, for clerics, other than like Sacred Flame or Word of Radiance, things like that. They don't Toll the Dead, but those are all saving throw based spells, so that really it becomes difficult for clerics, especially when they're wanting to watch their action economy and save their resources, and not have to waste a bunch of first, second level spells on things that they could normally, like wizards or warlocks throwing cantrips all around. Especially when it gets to higher levels and you're trying to save your resources, and things you go up against have magic resistance. So when creatures have magic resistance, it's always better to go with spells that you actually make attack rolls with, whether it be your, just attacking with weapons, attacking with ranged weapons, attacking with your just attack spells that make attack rolls, because then you're kind of taking on your spell attack bonus to try to hit them. If you cast them with a spell that has a save, then not only, even if your save's a little higher, they have advantage on those. So casting those definitely even puts the cleric at more of a disadvantage. So we're going to add cleric to this list. What we're going to do is, again, we're going to come up here. Now we've got that finished. We're going to copy the spell, come back over here, paste the spell back over here, go through and take out all of the thing for it. Now what we're going to do is change this slightly. Angelic. This is semi-incorporeal. Just changing the wording around a little bit. We're going to change the damage to radiant. I wonder if we should change the can't regain hit points thing, or should we pull something else from a different cantrip to add and combine there with that. There's Shocking Grasp has some extra things that we could do as well. Let's go ahead, instead of the it can't regain hit points until the start of the next turn. Let's add this little thing in from Shocking Grasp that says that it can't take reactions until the start of its next turn. Takes reactions to the start of its next turn. Yes. All right, so basically what we've done is we've created a fun little cantrip called Touch of the Heavens that we've modeled with Chill Touch, a little bit of Shocking Grasp to alter a little bit. So we have obviously Chill Touch effects on dead. We've created a cantrip that is going to affect fiends instead. So we'll go through, just finish it out. The presentation for me is a big thing, and creating my Rule 20 rooms. All right, I'm going to save the changes to that. So now we have touch of heaven, touch of the heavens. Oh, we could change it to like angelic touch, celestial touch, something like that. Yes, just leave touch of the heavens for now. We're going to go ahead and leave shocking grasp out here. We're going to leave chill touch out here, as these are definitely spells that we can use. Changing out their damage types and such like that. Changing the wording a little bit to give more variety to the players in your homebrew campaign, instead of just the wizard casting the old same, fire bolt. Obviously, you can't call it a lightning bolt. You call it like a shock bolt or something like that. That allows them to do some different types of damage. Like if a character wants more flavor to where they're more of like a poison type person, you can have like a poison bolt or something like that where it deals poison damage, but obviously you wouldn't put the poison condition in there because that's a little bit higher, would be a much higher level spell. So we have Arc Blade, we have Touch of Heavens. Just working on some cantrips tonight. We're not really looking to, maybe next week we'll start looking into creating some higher level spells as well. So let's go through. Speaking of which, let's look for. Let's just look at a list of cantrips. See what we've got. Spells, cantrips. All right. Which book is this from? This is from the Player's Handbook. Okay, so here's a cool one. Acid Splash. Very similar to Green Flame Blade and Arc Blade. An Arc Blade that we've created. Arc Blade obviously does damage to, using a weapon attack, does damage that will arc over to another person within 5 feet. So Acid Splash is a very similar thing, but it is a ranged spell attack. So we can actually do something with Acid Splash. Let's see what we can do with that. Let's go back up here at handout. Let's see what type of. Oh, I know what we can call it. Let me see here. I don't want to. If it's, I think Thunderclap is a leveled spell. Oh, it is a cantrip as well. Okay, that's everyone around you. We're going to combine Thunderclap a little bit with Acid Splash, and we're going to make a fairly easy cantrip that we really don't even have to. What would we do with Acid Splash? Huh. Lost it on my page here. It's down there. No, that's Chill Touch. Did we close it out? Let's bring them out here out of the woods so we can see them better. All right, so let's open that back up. Oh, there we go. It's just spells Acid Splash. Nice. Okay. So we're going to go ahead. We'll call this Thunder Blast. And we're going to make it a, obviously, cantrip. Should we have it still be conjuration? What is Thunderclap? Let's see what that one is. That evocation as well? That's evocation also. So yeah, we can go ahead and go cantrip evocation. No, let's go ahead and keep it conjuration because you're conjuring the thunder, very similar to what you're conjuring the acid. Mostly because what we want to be careful of is when we're changing them too much, we don't want, like for example, an invoker can deal extra damage dice, add to their damage dice a higher level, so we don't want it to become too powerful. I mean, it's not, it's a cantrip still at higher levels. They still have other evocation spells that they can add that to us. It's not going to hurt very much, but we want to be careful to try to spread them around a little bit. And making this a conjuration cantrip is not a bad idea, just because, I mean, you're conjuring acid, you can still conjure the thunder from that as well. So let's go back over here to spells, bring that back up. Casting time 1 action. Range is still going to be 60 feet. Go ahead and copy this over there. The only reason why I don't copy a lot from these particular handouts is that they sometimes get a little funky on how, like that, how they copy onto the, how they copy onto the handout. There we go. And again, we're going to remove that. Text seems to copy fairly well, but the templates, like this whole acid splash thing, looking like the player's handbook or whatever, doesn't copy properly. I'm going to keep the same. Alright, so how are we going to change this around? Let's think about this for a little bit while we're working on doing this. We probably want to have something in there that it can be heard, since Thunderclap can be heard from up to 100 feet away. We probably still want Thunder Blast to be something very similar, to kind of draw back, and a little drawback to where, like, if you're trying to be quiet, you definitely don't want to cast a Thunder Blast, because if you're in a dungeon and you cast that, then you're going to call all the monsters into your area. So I want to put that little bit of danger still in the spell itself. We're just going to keep the same classes that can use Acid Splash, and we hurl a choose 1 or 2 creatures received within range. If you choose 2, they must be within 5 feet of each other. Target must succeed on DC or Dexterity saving throw, or take 1d6 thunder damage. Oops. Okay, so we kind of put that there. What we're going to do is, it is a Dexterity saving throw, so it's a save. Since we're adding a little bit extra to it, we're going to actually up the damage dice. So instead of just doing a die 6, we're going to have it do a die 8, because it is going to have, for one, it's a Dexterity save. It's not an actual to hit roll. So we're going to go ahead and up the damage to a die 8. But we are going to use the ability from Thunderclap, that you hurl a ball of thunder that explodes. I'm just going to say you hurl a ball of thunder that explodes. If feet, not Boba Fett. Huh. Okay, so you hurl a ball of thunder that explodes. This explosion can be heard up to 100 feet away. Choose one or two creatures you can see within range. If you choose two, they must be within 5 feet of each other. Target must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or take 1d8 thunder damage. Spell's damage increases by 1d8 when you reach 5th level, 11th, and of course tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4. So what we've done is, instead of just taking just the acid splash by itself, which you can totally do, we went ahead and stuck with the concept of thunder, like thunder wave being able to be heard. You can hear that 300 feet away. Thunder clap, you can hear it 100 feet away. We're going to do thunder burst. Like, for example, thunder clap is each creature within range of 5 feet around you. So it's kind of like word of radiance, where it's only the creatures that you choose around you. Actually, I think thunder clap doesn't even let you choose. I think it just creates a burst of thunder sound. Each creature within range other than you. So yeah, even if your companions are around you, thunderclap will still damage them. Word of Radiance wouldn't do that. But what this does is this allows you something different. So if you're playing a character like a Storm Sorcerer or something like that, would be able to have a different option besides just using like thunderclap or something of that nature. So again, like I said, we moved it up to a die 8 because we did throw in the detriment of it being heard up to 100 feet away. So we'll save Thunder Blast. We'll move that down into our spell list as well. We already have things like Ray of Frost and Frostbite. Let's see. See if we got a damage type listed in here. We'll go to the next page. Let's just go with let's just look at what is it, Elemental Adept. There we go. This will help us out with some of them. Of course, we have Radiant and Necrotic damage, and then the rest of these is Acid, Cold, Fire, Lightning, or Thunder. So let's see here. We've created a Radiant spell, or I'm sorry, we've created a Lightning spell, a Radiant spell, and a Thunder spell. So let's go ahead and work on creating our own Acid, Cold, and Fire spells as well. So let's go back over here. We're going to close down Thunderclap. We're going to open up spells again. This is going to be going through all of our... Oh, maybe not. Let's open that up in D&D Beyond. Oops. Oops. There we go. I'm going to go with just cantrips, filter spells. We're not really going to be looking at other homebrew things. One of the reasons why I was actually wanting to walk through creating of these spells on the stream here was you'll find a lot of homebrew things in D&D Beyond, which is great. It's awesome that other dungeon masters and creators will share their homebrew rules and stuff on the site, which is nice. But you will find, and I'm sure people have used these before, have definitely found that many things that you find are a little bit OP in that regard. So let's go with, we've got lots of different spells here that we can mess around with, because we still need something for cold, we still need something for acid, and we still need something for fire. Let's check out lightning lure here, and let's do something with lightning lure. So we're looking up Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, that because it's the newest, uh, has the most updated rules of the different versions we have there. We're going to create a handout here. We're going to look at Lightning Lure. We can also maybe even look at Thorn Whip, since they're both very similar. And we can, like, for example, Lightning Lure, they have to make a save, and Thorn Whip is just if it hits. Um, so we can combine the two in various ways, very similar how we did Thunder Blast, so that it can change a little bit, so that way it's still balanced, but at the same time it's not something that's going to be too overpowering to add to your homebrew game. So let's see here. Do I make this fire or do I make this cold? Because we're probably just going to go ahead and try our poison bolt from taking firebolt and turning it into a poison bolt, which is fairly simple and easy and straightforward to do with that. So let's also pull up Thorn Whip. Now, Thorn Whip just does piercing damage. Obviously, it's magical, and it does die 6, and this one does a die 8. And both of them allow you to pull the creature up to 10 feet closer to you. If we want it to be more like Thorn Whip than Lightning Lure, the damage will be lower because it's going to be just an attack roll. The damage is higher for Lightning Lure because it is a saving throw. That's why you'll see things like Toll the Dead. It does a die 8 or a die 12 if the creature's already taken damage, but it is a saving throw, not an attack roll. You will, well, at least you'll have a tendency to find in the different spells that if the damage is going to be a little bit less type of dice if it's a saving throw, and a higher dice if it's a attack roll. So that's something to keep in mind too when you're creating your spells for your homebrew games and such like that, to keep that in mind. We didn't, well, I should say, the Thunder Blast still required a dexterity saving throw, so we did go ahead and up, even though Thunder Clap only does a D6, we went ahead and got up to the D8, as we said, for the thing being heard. And it does the damage to a lesser number of people, whereas Thunder Blast can do only 2. Thunderclap can, if you're surrounded by enemies, Thunderclap can hit up to 8 creatures in the area there. So let's call this Fire Lash, or Flame Lash. There we go. Flame Lash. Let's have some fun with this one, and we're going to, when the person casts this spell, we're going to allow them to choose. We're going to create 2 different effects for this cantrip. They can choose either to do it like a lightning lure, or they can choose to do it like a thorn whip. So we can close that there. We can close Shocking Grasp. We can close Chill Touch for now. We can close Green Flame Blade. And let's go back over here. We've got Lightning Lure right here. We've got Thorn Whip right here. We can pull the Adepts down over here. We don't really need that right now. All we know is we still need a cold spell, and we still need a poison spell. All right, so we're going to do Flame Lash as this spell. And let's go ahead and take a look. Thorn Whip, I believe, is going to be Transmutation, while Lightning Lure is going to be Evocation. Let's not make 2 effects, because that right there kind of becomes a little overpowering. We could always make a very similar spell to each, but let's just try to combine the 2 together and see what the difference is between these 2 that we want to keep. I think this one makes a melee spell attack, and can pull it towards you. Now, what we could do is we could have them make a dexterity save or something like that. We could still take the damage down to a die 6, but we could add another smaller effect because of the heat from the spell. All right, let's have some fun with that there. Let's go. Let's have it be evocation because most fire spells are evocation. Casting time 1 action. Ranged. What's the range of Thorn Whip? 30 feet? Yeah, let's go with range 30 feet. Let's actually change it around and mix it up a little bit. Let's go self 20-foot radius. Because we're going to borrow from Thorn Whip and Lightning Lure to create this Fire Lash cantrip. Target. Target. One creature of your choice. Oh. I think Thorn Whip requires. We're going to go ahead and say that it's verbal and material. Let's say the material component is a pinch of ash. Okay, spell. That's another thing to keep in mind too when you're creating your spells. It's something I've done since first and second edition. When you add things to them, like for example, we're going to be combining Lightning Lure's idea of the strength save or dexterity saving throw. We're going to drop the damage down to a die 6 like we have in Thorn Whip. We're still going to allow them to be pulled 10 feet in a straight line towards us. We're not going to have, if they make the saving throw, obviously they take no damage. But we're not going to have them only take the damage if they're within 5 feet of us. We're going to have them take the damage regardless, and then we're going to add something small effects because of the heat from the flame, and that way, if we do, that way if we add like a material component, they have to have a material component. Obviously, if they're using spell component. Pouches or using any sort of spell focus, they won't need that, but it does add something else to it. And we also could say verbal, somatic, and material. Yeah, let's do that, since we're having them take the damage regardless. They don't have to be within 5 feet. We're going to add that verbal, somatic, material. It's going to be a dex save, so the creature has a better chance of making the save. Probably about the equal chance of you hitting, which is fine. So it's not going to be an attack roll, it's going to be a saving throw. And let's go classes. Let's just go ahead and add the druid to this one. Let's most druids have like flame blades, such like that. All right. So we're going to mimic both of these spells in a little bit. And we're going to say, and actually do our own description of the spell. And mostly what we're doing the dexterity saving throws because strength saving throw, lightning lure is shown to resist getting pulled. A dexterity saving throw we're doing because obviously it's fire, but just kind of representing dodging out of the lash. Because if they get hit by it, failing their saving throw, they're going to be pulled towards you and take the damage. And we're also going to keep the creatures large or smaller in there. Or take 1d6 fire damage. And if the creature is larger or smaller, it is, you may. Okay, so what we've got is you create a lashing whip made of flame that strikes out on one creature of your choice that you can see within 20 feet of you. The target must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or take 1d6 fire damage. And if the creature is large or smaller, you may pull it up to 10 feet closer to you. And then we're going to change the damage increase, of course. We are using a die 6, so we're going to go ahead and just copy it from Thorn Whip. Of course, we have to change the piercing to fire, I believe. Spells damage increases by 1d6 when you reach 5th level, 2d6. And there we go. We don't have to change anything else. Just have to go through and do our formatting. All right, so now we have our Flame Lash spell. Very similar to some other things that are there, but just adds a little bit of variety. Keeping in mind that if we're adding some sort of thing in there instead of us adding that fire, the heat's going to damage them, we're just going to still use the whole pulling them closer. But by leaving it a verbal, somatic, and material, we did increase the radius just a little bit from Lightning Lure, which only had a verbal component. We changed the save to a dex save instead. They will take the fire damage regardless and we did add the component from Thorn Whip that the creature must be larger or smaller to pull you closer. Um, if they fail a strength save with Lightning Lure, they are automatically pulled 10 feet in a straight line towards you, regardless of their size. There's no size limitation in Lightning Lure. So we've done a little bit of adjustments here and there. Made the range a little bit larger than Lightning Lure, set the damage the same as Thorn Whip. Used the ability of Thorn Whip for larger or smaller to be pulled closer to. We changed the dexterity save, which does make it easier for some monsters to save versus that. But all in all, right out of the gate, when we go to use these spells in our homebrew game, they're already basically going to be balanced for play. Let's see here. So that's our arc. We're just going to go ahead, as I mentioned, and just create a straight up poison bolt. It's going to be the same as firebolt. We're just going to change everything over to poison instead of fire. We haven't done anything for necrotic or for acid yet either. That's okay. We don't have a problem with that. Actually, let's go ahead and just do acid bolt, because I'm thinking what we could do with poison is we could actually take poison and do something similar to Toll the Dead. So instead of taking the necrotic damage, they take poison damage instead. That also brings into things that are like resistant to poison to be able to help with their saves and such like that. So we're just going to go with acid bolt. Let's have some fun with it and call it Melf's acid bolt. Kind of the younger brother or sister to the Melf's acid arrow. We'll just call it acid bolt. We'll just change it to a conjuration, since most acid spells are conjuration spells, not evocation. Oops. So let's go ahead and copy this, and we'll make a few changes here and there. Acid damage. We'll go. We'll just put this as specifically metal. Let's see here. So what we did was change it around just a little bit to where instead of flammable objects hit by the spell ignite, if it's as it being worn or carried, we'll just say any metal object that is hit by this spell starts to dissolve. -1 to AC or minus for armor. Or -1 to hit and damage rolls of a weapon. Obviously, there's lots of things, just as flammable objects that aren't being worn or carried is up to the DM, of course. This would always be up to the DM as well. There might be a different way of looking at it, but that's something we can always go back and revisit again at a different time. So acid damage, and that's all changed there. We'll save the changes, and we have acid bolt as well. Still looking to maybe do something for cold and such like that later. But it is the top of the hour, which means we're going to go ahead and bring the stream to a close for this Tuesday evening. Thanks for stopping by and checking us out. If you're watching this on video on demand or on YouTube, please give us a sub on YouTube if you're there. Hit the notifications. If you want to come back, check out all the new content. We do generally put up all of our stream content, edit it down a little bit, and put that up on our YouTube channels on Mondays, usually between 3 and 5 p.m. Eastern. Of course, thanks to all of our supporters, especially our patrons from Patreon. If you'd like to help support the channel, please consider becoming a patron on Patreon or subbing here on Twitch, twitch.tv/themasterofdungeons. The link to our Patreon page, as well as all of our social media accounts, can be found in the About Us section here below on Twitch. Subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Give us some likes, retweets, all of that good stuff. Every sub, like, and share helps us immensely. If you want to join our Master of Dungeons community Discord server, you can do so below by clicking on the About Us section here on Twitch. Just click the Discord panel. I'll give you an invite to our community where you can help shape a accepting, caring, and inclusive community. We do have a merch store as well. Get some t-shirts, hats, things of that nature on the merch store. And of course, I am going to be we haven't put anything up on our TikTok yet, but we're going to have our rest of our streams this week fairly normal. We're going to do a special thing on Sunday evening. Instead of our live play, we're going to be discussing things about Gen Con. Really cool things that probably won't be as long as our normal streams on Sunday evenings. But then next week we'll have our around the campfire stream, but we're going to be off from Tuesday to the following through Saturday, as I'm going to be going to Gen Con, running games and all that. If you join our Discord server, you'll be able to see my schedule. I'll be running 8 games, D&D games, the open floors, open tables, and then I have got 2 panels that I'm going to be speaking on. These panels, asking questions and such like that. And of course, thanks for watching. Be safe, and as always, happy adventuring.